I don't think that this is about me, Hailey Bieber, and Selena Gomez.
For years, Hailey Bieber tried to keep the peace. She defended Selena Gomez when fans accused her of things she never said. She shut down rumors, tried to calm the drama, and did everything she could to show she was not part of the endless online war that followed her everywhere she went. But then, something happened that changed everything. One day, Hailey simply stopped speaking up. She stopped defending Selena. She stopped correcting misunderstandings. She stopped trying to fix the narrative. Her silence was not just noticeable, it was shocking. And the reason behind it was nothing like fans expected. People assumed it was just exhaustion. Others claimed she was finally over the drama. But what happened behind the scenes was far deeper and far more intense than anyone on the outside realized. Because according to people close to Hailey, the moment she pulled back was not a casual choice. It was a breaking point. A moment where she decided that protecting her own life mattered more than trying to protect a story she never had control over in the first place. Her sudden silence was the result of pressure that had been building. Pressure that came from the industry. Pressure that came from social media. Pressure that came from inside her own home. And once that pressure hit a certain point, Hailey made a decision that she knew would change how the world viewed her forever.
Now, this part people are taking as shade towards Selena and her brand, that like Hailey's trying to say like she's not inspired by Selena's brand. I believe she was just asked about, how she feels about being with other brands in Sephora, like when she was asked about this question, like not specifically about Selena's brand.
But the real reason she walked away from defending Selena was not just emotional, it was strategic, it was personal, and it was connected to something happening behind the scenes that almost no one knew. Something that pushed to choose silence over distance, over clarity, and her own peace over everything. And what triggered that shift would only become clear when fans noticed the first sign that Hailey was done trying to hold this together, and that arrived in a way no one expected. The moment people started digging into Hailey's silence, they realized something had been building long before she ever stopped speaking. Hailey had spent years living inside a pressure cooker that never turned off. Every time Selena released a song, Hailey trended. Every time Justin posted something harmless, Hailey trended. Every time a fan account mentioned the past, Hailey trended again. It did not matter what she did or what she said. The internet had decided she was part of a story she could never escape. And that story followed her into every interview, every public appearance, and every post she uploaded. Behind the scenes, Hailey was dealing with something most people never see.
This is not about this pitting between two women and division between two women. It's about the vile, disgusting hatred that can come from.
For years, she tried to prove she was not the villain fans painted her to be. She tried to show kindness, tried to show maturity, tried to rise above the accusations. But the harsher the internet became, the more she realized that defending herself only made things worse. Every time she spoke up, a new wave of hate exploded. Every time she clarified something, a new rumor appeared. And each time she defended, Selena fans twisted it into something completely different. What made it even harder was the constant comparison. Hailey could not post a photo without someone mentioning Selena in the comments. She could not attend an event without someone yelling her name in a way meant to sting. Even when Selena herself tried to calm the drama, fans refused to let it die. The internet had made up its mind, and Hailey was the one paying the price for it day after day. By the end of last year, people around Hailey said she looked drained, not physically, but emotionally. The type of exhaustion that does not come from lack of sleep, but from feeling like you are constantly fighting a battle you cannot win. Close friends described her as overwhelmed and worn down by the never-ending tension that came with simply being online.
But it's become this whole thing, and Selena addressed it on her Instagram story. She said, "Just leave the girl alone. She can say whatever she wants. It doesn't affect my life whatsoever. It's just about relevance, not intelligence. Be kind. All brands inspire me. There is room for everyone, and hopefully we can all stop."
She wanted peace, but she could never get it, because the second she tried to defend herself, everything erupted again. And this mounting pressure was the first warning sign that something was about to break. But the moment the internet turned from intense to uncontrollable is what forced Hailey to rethink everything, because what happened next is what finally cracked the foundation she had been standing on for years. Everything shifted when a wave of old clips resurfaced online, and the internet decided to relive the drama all over again. What started as a few harmless posts on short-form platforms turned into a viral storm that dragged Hailey back into a spotlight she never wanted. Thousands of accounts began stitching old videos, pulling up screenshots, digging through years of content, looking for anything they could use to restart the feud. And within hours, Hailey became the internet's favorite target again. This time it was different because the reaction was faster, louder, and more aggressive than anything she had experienced before.
You guys, Selena Gomez is responding to what Hailey Bieber recently said in an interview. She since deleted it, but it has caused a whole conversation surrounding what Hailey said in this interview. So the other day, an article came out and it said, "Is she nervous that Sephora shoppers might compare Rhode to Rare Beauty, the brand from Selena Gomez that's also sold at Sephora? Fans have suggested there's a rivalry between the two. Gomez used to date Justin when they were younger." Before she can respond, a publicist sitting nearby tells her to skip the question.
Millions of comments flooded her posts. People took sides, even though Hailey and Selena had not spoken about each other publicly in months. Fan pages compared every expression, every outfit, and even the smallest gestures, trying to prove there was still tension between the two women. Hailey watched as a narrative she had worked so hard to calm suddenly exploded in her face without warning. Friends say she felt blindsided. She thought the drama was finally fading, but instead it had been waiting in the shadows, ready to strike the moment anyone stirred it up. And when the firestorm hit, it hit harder than ever. Even neutral celebrities were asked to pick a side. Hailey could not look at her phone without seeing her name pulled into another rumor thread. It was relentless, and this time the narrative was completely out of control. She posted a short message about protecting her peace and stepped back from social media for a few days. But instead of calming things down, that silence only fueled more speculation. People began asking why she disappeared. Others twisted her message into a hidden warning.
Hailey ends up answering anyways and says, "It's always annoying being pitted against other people. I didn't ask for that," Bieber says later. "When people want to see you a certain way and they've made up a story about you in their minds, it's not up to you to change that." As for Rhode, she says, "I think there's space for everybody. I'm more competitive with myself. I don't feel competitive with people I'm not inspired by."
Some even claimed her silence was guilt, and the rumors kept stacking on top of each other until Hailey realized she could not, no matter what. The online chaos became so overwhelming that insiders said Hailey started distancing herself from everything. She barely checked her phone. She ignored comments and refused to engage. Her team reportedly recommended staying quiet until the storm passed, because any response would only add fuel to a fire that was already burning out of control. But the real breaking point was not the comments, or the memes, or even the constant comparison. It was what happened behind closed doors when Hailey finally realized she was being left to handle the fallout on her own. And that is where the story becomes far more complex. While the online chaos was exploding, something far more serious was unfolding privately. Hailey had always relied on her team to help manage the waves of drama that came her way. They were supposed to guide her through every crisis, monitor her public image, and step in when the internet turned hostile. But during this storm, something changed. According to people close to Hailey, she felt completely unsupported. Meetings that were supposed to help her ended with more confusion. Advice she relied on suddenly shifted, and for the first time she realized that the people who were meant to protect her were stepping back right when she needed them most. One insider claimed Hailey felt like she was being pushed to handle everything on her own because speaking up had become too risky for the brand. Every time she wanted to clarify a rumor, she was told it might make the backlash worse. Every time she tried to defend Selena, the narrative twisted again, and the pressure to stay silent began to feel less like a suggestion and more like an instruction. Hailey was caught between wanting to clear her name and being told her voice would only make things explode even more. Behind the scenes, things with Justin were not helping either. He tried to stay out of the drama, but the public kept dragging him into it, which meant Hailey got blamed for anything connected to him. Friends said Hailey felt like she was carrying the weight of two people's reputation while getting none of the support she needed, and the emotional strain of that responsibility was becoming too much. During one private conversation, Hailey reportedly said she felt like she was fighting a losing battle because no matter what she said, people refused to believe her. She could scream the truth at the top of her lungs and the internet would still twist it. That realization changed everything. It made her question why she was still trying to fix a narrative that would never be in her control. This was the moment Hailey reached her breaking point. Not the public meltdown fans imagined, but a quiet internal. She knew she needed to protect herself because no one else was going to do it. And the first step in that protection was stepping back from the drama entirely. But But the clearest sign of that shift came when fans noticed something unusual on Hailey's social media, a subtle but powerful change that made it clear she was done trying to hold the situation together. The first real shift happened quietly. Hailey did not post a dramatic message or announce she was stepping back from anything. Instead, she began making small changes that spoke louder than words. Followers noticed certain photos disappearing. Old comments were removed. Hailey unfollowed a handful of fan accounts that constantly dragged her into comparisons she never wanted. Even content related to past drama seemed to fade from her page. It was a silent cleanup, and people immediately picked up on it. Hailey had always tried to ignore negativity, but this time she was doing more than ignoring. She was wiping away the remnants of a narrative that had haunted her for years. She wanted distance. She wanted clarity. She wanted a life that did not revolve around being linked to Selena, whether she liked it or not. And these subtle actions suggested she was preparing for a major shift that went far deeper than social media had. People close to her said Hailey was making. She finally understood something important. As long as she kept responding to the drama, even in the smallest way, fans would keep feeding the fire. The only way to break free from the cycle was to step away from it entirely. That meant no more defending, no more clarifying the past, and no more speaking up for Selena even when she felt like it. But the turning point was not just about social media, it was about everything happening home. Rumors began circulating that Hailey and Justin were experiencing strain behind the scenes, the kind of strain that comes from constant public pressure mixed with private stress that no one else sees. Hailey was tired of being blamed for every situation connected to Justin. She was tired of being the target every time he made a decision people did not like. And she was tired of carrying the past on her shoulder while trying to build a future that felt peaceful and normal. Friends later said this was the moment Hailey realized she could not protect anyone else if she was falling apart herself. Defending Selena might have seemed noble, but it always threw her back into the spotlight she was trying to escape. The more she spoke up, the more the internet twisted her words. And the more she tried to help, the worse she chose silence, not out of anger or resentment, but out of self-preservation. It was the only way she could reclaim a piece of her life that felt like it had been slipping away. The biggest change was still coming, because 2025 brought a new wave that would finally reveal why Hailey decided she was done. The start of this year brought a new wave of speculation that turned Hailey's silence into something much bigger. Fans began noticing that Hailey was no longer just stepping back from drama. She was distancing herself from anything that could even remotely link her to Selena. She stopped responding to certain questions in interviews. She avoided topics that once felt harmless. She posted less. She appeared more cautious, and every move she made felt calculated in a way that hinted something important had shifted behind the scenes. Industry insiders started whispering that Hailey's team had urged her to step away completely, not as a suggestion, but as a strategy. According to these reports, her advisors believed that engaging with the Selena narrative in any way was harming her mental health and her brand. They believed the cycle would never end unless she removed herself from it entirely. For the first time, Hailey had official pressure to stay silent, and this time the silence was not about avoiding drama, it was about survival. Some even claimed Hailey had become the center of a private conversation that involved multiple companies connected to her business. They wanted to protect Rode, they wanted to protect upcoming partnerships, and they believed that her constant association with the online feud was overshadowing everything she had built. The message was clear. If Hailey wanted to grow, she needed to disconnect from the past narrative once and for all. The public did not know about these discussions, but they noticed the effect. Hailey began focusing heavily on her work. She posted about her projects more and about her personal life less. Her energy shifted from defending herself to building something that did not involve anyone else. There was a new clarity in the way and for the first time, she seemed determined to protect her peace without explaining herself to anyone. By mid-year, fans began speculating that Hailey had made a private promise to avoid addressing anything related to Selena ever again. Some said she was tired of being compared. Others believed she was done being dragged into conversations that never ended. And a few claimed she had finally realized that defending Selena only made the situation worse for both of them. Whatever the truth was, one thing became obvious. Hailey was rewriting her own, and the decision that came next was the final step in closing the chapter for good. By the time all the pieces came together, Hailey had reached a point of absolute clarity. She understood that no matter how many times she defended Selena, no matter how often she tried to calm tension, and no matter how sincerely she tried to show maturity, the internet would twist everything. It had happened for years. It happened every time she spoke. And the more she tried to help, the louder the chaos grew. Hailey finally realized she was fighting a battle that did not belong to her, and one she could never win. People close to her said this realization hit her slowly over months of watching the same cycle repeat. Anytime she tried to defend Selena, fans accused her of stirring drama. Anytime she tried to stay out of the conversation, people accused her of being guilty. It did not matter what she did because the narrative had already been written. Hailey was tired of being a character in a story she did not create, and she decided she would no longer allow the internet to pull her into that role. There was another layer to this decision. Hailey's personal life was demanding more of her attention than ever. Her marriage, her mental health, and her business all needed stability. And every time she addressed Selena, even with kindness, that stability collapsed. Her advisors warned her that the drama was hurting her brand. Her friends told her the backlash was affecting her well-being. And Hailey herself felt the emotional toll far more deeply than anyone realized. It was pushing her to a breaking point she refused to reach, so she chose a different path. Instead of trying to fix the narrative, she removed herself from it. She stopped defending Selena not out of bitterness, but out of self-preservation. It was the healthiest decision she could make. It was the one thing that finally gave her distance from a feud she never wanted, and it allowed her to focus on the parts of her life that actually mattered, instead of being chained to a past she had nothing to do with. To fans, the shift felt sudden. To Hailey, it was the first moment control she had felt in years. She was no longer explaining herself to strangers online. She was no longer cleaning up old misunderstandings, and she refused to spend another year being the lightning rod for a story that exhausted everything. The most important part of her decision, not silence. It was what that silence symbolized. A final line drawn. Two women were tired of being forced same and ready to move on with their own